and welcome to Window on the World, a show that highlights the experiences of students who have traveled and studied abroad. My name is Kate Kelley, and joining me today are several students who went to the International Media Seminar at the American University of Paris. So to begin, I'd like to have our guests introduce themselves. Could you please say your names and your majors?
My name is Maddy West, and I'm a mass communication major.
My name is Abby West, and I'm also a mass communication major.
I'm Kate Scheidemantle, and I'm an English major.
Great. So, first of all, why don't you tell me how this all got started? How did you hear about this trip, and what made you want to go on it?
Well, I first heard about the trip, I think it was like the fall semester of 2016, and I remember a teacher bringing it up, and she used to go on the trip every single year. And when she brought it up, she didn't even really say what it was. She just said, "Oh, a trip to Paris." And I was like, "Oh, I instantly, I want to go on that." But I knew it wasn't going to be offered that spring. So I knew that as soon as I heard it was offered in the fall, that I really wanted to go on it. So, yeah.
Yeah, basically the exact same answer.
I had actually one of the girls in the class, Rachel, approached me and had asked, hey, are you going to Paris? And I was kind of the same way. I was like, what do you mean, spring break trip? And she was like, oh, no, we're taking a class, and so we're all in global journalism together. And so I was like, yeah, I can totally add that to my schedule because I want to go to Paris, and I thought the media seminar sounded really fun as well.
Absolutely. So was this your first trip outside of the United States?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't my first one. This past summer, I went actually with the English department. We went to London, England.
Yeah,
for about
that
a
sounds
week.
great. I heard about that. It looked really fun. I saw pictures. So I actually got to go on this trip too, and it was really exciting for me because I've been to a few different states, here in America, but this was my first experience getting to travel abroad, and as someone who hasn't made it that far out of Missouri too many times, it was really exciting. So for some of you then, this was your first time on a plane, right? What was that like?
Yeah, it was really stressful. Actually, the actual plane ride wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. It was mostly just before, with the security and stuff. It was so stressful. I don't know why. I was so stressed out during that.
Yeah, it was I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just going around here, not knowing what's going on. And then, taking off was kind of scary and landing was kind of scary. But when you're in the air, it's not that bad.
Yeah, because Abby's scared of heights, but I love heights. So I was sitting next to the window, and it was, a really cool experience. The landing was pretty bad on the first flight, and I was like, oh no, is this how it's always going to be? But it was, after that, it was pretty good. It wasn't a bad experience.
Yeah, but the last flight, I was just used to it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I know, every time we hit a patch of turbulence, I looked over because I was like, oh no.
If no one else is freaking out, then I'm fine.
Right.
Yeah. I look over at Keith and I'm like, okay, she's not freaking out.
We'll be okay.
We're okay.
Right. So then what was your first reaction to landing in Paris?
Well, I was really tired, so I was just this is normal. I'm just in a regular airport. But then, the bathroom was really weird, so I was like, this isn't the United States at all. This is weird.
Yeah, I was dead because I didn't get any sleep at all. So it just kind of seemed normal because we were in the airport. And then after we got out of the airport was when I was like, oh, this isn't the United States. When the driver was... he was a crazy driver, driving all over the place, and I was looking around, and I was like, this is weird.
Yeah.
I think that's the same time it hit me, when we were in that, cab ride to the hotel, I was like, oh, different country, because I was also exhausted, and it felt normal until you, get outside the airport, then you're like, oh,
yeah,
hello.
I remember we were, driving, and then, all of a sudden, the Eiffel Tower's there, and we're all like, oh.
It was just, the weirdest experience, oh, there's the Eiffel Tower, what?
Yeah, I felt that way, too. It's you've seen pictures of it, but then you're there, and it's so much larger than life and in your face, and it's oh, I'm really here right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. So what surprised you the most then about France?
Probably, I don't know, it didn't surprise me, but there were so many people just everywhere from different countries, and for some reason it wasn't in my brain that there were going to be so many different people touring there, but we're tourists. Yeah. So it's normal, but when we first got there and there were just people everywhere, I was so confused at first. I don't know, it was just really weird.
Yeah. I don't really
I think it was a lot how I expected it. For like that same reason, I actually did expect the tourism, especially because we were like in Paris. I think if we would have been more like in other places in France, there might have been more of the just, you know, like people just speaking French, but actually we saw a lot of just tourists like ourselves.
I think I definitely went through a few stages of culture shock just because, like, we would go and get food and it would be so small. The portions are what probably surprised me the most. And I think that, I don't know, I guess I knew that things were going to be smaller because I'd heard that, but I didn't realize when like everything was like the size of your palm. And
one thing that surprised me, but there's no water fountains anywhere.
Yeah,
they also don't believe in ice or something because you just have to drink like warm tap water all the time because there's no water fountains. They don't give you ice.
That or sparkling water is your option.
Sparkling water is like the water there. There's no normal water.
I can't drink sparkling water, so.
Yeah, that's also surprised me because I was like, oh, I'm so thirsty. Let me find a water fountain. Nope, there's no water anywhere.
Yeah.
We drank a lot of sink water.
We did. Yeah, we did.
I don't know if it was safe, but
we
did it
drink
anyway.
it in quality, yeah.
So how did it feel to be a foreigner then?
It was really weird because like when you're here, you see people like from different countries and you're like, oh, they're like from a different country or whatever. But then whenever you're somewhere else, then you're like, it feels normal until they start speaking to you in a different language. And you're like, oh, like I better like try to at least talk to them in French at first because it's like their normal is like French, and like to me it was just like weird having to try to speak French.
It's so much different because you're used to just walking up and being able to communicate and order food, like the simplest things, and then you get there and it's so hard. It's so hard to be like a foreigner.
Yeah, the barrier of communication was definitely challenging, and I think especially so, like they had said, like when you're on like the metro or something, trying to just have a conversation, you're like, I really can't approach anyone because I say bonjour, and then I'm like, that's all the French I know. I've studied Spanish, so I'm like, okay, good talk.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think also for me, just that barrier of communication and realizing that, oh, I can't speak to these people the way that I want to. And I think it really created a new sense of empathy for me, you know, when I'm dealing with people who speak another language, like, whoa, I totally get it. Like, kudos to you, because I had like no confidence in communicating with anyone over there.
Especially since it's like some French people, they get it. They're like, oh yeah, you're a tourist, like I'll speak English to you. And then some French people expect you to speak French to them. So sometimes people seem a little rude because they're angry at you because you don't speak French. And then sometimes they're more understanding, and that's when you get like the nice server at the restaurant. And,
Absolutely. So would you say that France was everything that you expected it would be?
Yeah, like it was kind of weird though, like seeing all these pictures of places and then like going there and you're like, oh, like these are the places that I see in the pictures, but it's like exactly how they are in the pictures, but it's like weird because you're actually there. So I'd say it's probably like how I expected it to be, but you don't see like the background of it all, like the roads, like all the people there, and like going into cafes and stuff, like that's what I didn't expect.
Yeah, like in the Palace of Versailles, on all the pictures you see online, it's like empty. There's no tourists. It's just like beautiful, and you get there and there's just crowds of people, and that's how it is everywhere. And so if you were going there expecting it to be not as crowded and you get there, then you realize, oh, this is like a huge tourist destination.
Yeah, I think I was most surprised that some places we went were like super crowded, but then like we went to the Eiffel Tower and like there weren't a lot of people. And so it's like even just tourists or like people who live there, I wonder like where did they go? Like if not the Eiffel Tower, did they just walk past it? Like I was curious about that.
Yeah, I think I don't know. Everywhere I went, I was just like in awe at everything. And for those people, it's like they get to see this every day. So I guess that's kind of worn off for them. But we do have some pictures that we can show you of our trip, and maybe we can bring those up and talk about that. So let's talk about some of the places that we went. Where was your favorite place?
I don't know, everywhere was like really cool, but I kind of liked going to Versailles the most, like just seeing it because it was like so pretty, and then there was like the gardens and everything. But Yeah, I like the catacombs, and basically anywhere we went, I really liked.
Yeah, the architecture was really pretty, and we have a picture pulled up now. I mean, the ceiling, everywhere we went, like, it seemed like every museum was in this amazing building, and I wanted to look at the art on the walls, but my eyes immediately went up to the ceiling because everything was just dipped in gold and so ornate.
Yeah. I was even saying, like, why don't we have giant sculptures of people outside of our building?
You go, and on every building is a giant sculpture of something. And I really like the Louvre Museum. Even though it's like so much bigger than you expect. We got lost in it. Like walking around, we were trying to find a certain place where like a certain picture or painting, and we couldn't find it because it was so big.
Yeah.
And and even in like the Louvre museum, you have all these famous paintings and stuff, and then you look up and the stuff on the ceiling that's naturally just like always been there painted on the ceiling is almost just as good as the other pictures you see there.
And we did encounter some cold weather while we were there. In this picture you can see it's snowing. When it wasn't snowing, it was raining. It was pretty cold, but it was so beautiful.
And there was so much walking outside. It was freezing. It was like probably at least 6 miles a day walking outside, and when it's snowing and freezing, I don't know, I guess I just kind of got used to it after a while, but it was like kind of we did try the Orangina, I think is how you say it. I never quite mastered that, but I thought it was okay. I think Abby and Maddy liked it more than me. I really liked it. It was like, so there's like orange soda that you have here, but Orangina kind of tastes like orange juice but carbonated. So it's like the more like orangey flavor.
I felt like it needed more sugar, and I felt like that a lot of the time on the trip. They would always serve sugar on the side, like an optional thing that you could add to your hot chocolate or whatever kind of normal drink that here would already have all that sugar dumped in it. We went to the largest, I think, and oldest cemetery in Paris. I couldn't say the name, but that was one of my favorite things, I think, just because walking through the cemetery, all of the headstones were so beautiful and so old. Like, you'd walk past something that was from like the 1600s, and no big deal. It's just been here forever.
I also thought it was weird though, because there'd be some really old ones, and then there was one from like 2005. So it's like, that's super weird to put them together.
I didn't expect this like very old cemetery with all these like old like famous people buried in it, and then like these normal like it's just like really strange.
Yeah, and there are several famous people buried there. I think Faith.
Yes, I got pretty excited. Oscar Wilde is buried there, and that's actually, I'm the one who reached out to Kisa, and I was like, can we please go here one day?
Yes, so glad you did.
So we did take a group. It was beautiful. There was still snow on the ground, which made it a very fun experience. But there's quite a few famous people too.
Yeah. This is one of my favorite things about France. Lemon tarts.
Citron.
So good. Yeah, citron if you want to order that, which is I got lemon everything because it was the only thing I knew how to say in French. So
it was the best.
Was a really good one.
Yeah, I think I might have survived off of pastries.
Yeah, definitely.
It was like I don't really like their normal food, so I'm just gonna live off of pastries.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, I feel okay about that because we're only here for 10 days, so I might as well eat pastries as possible, right?
Yeah, we had dessert for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. This is one of the cathedrals that we visited. I think this is the one that was like on top of that massive hill, and we had to climb up like hundreds and hundreds of something like that.
It's a French word.
But I remember that was one of my favorite days because we climbed to the top and the sun was setting and it was so cold but so pretty, and then we went and got pizza after.
After I got over the 30 flights of stairs to get up there.
Yeah.
We all kind of died on the way up. But
Yeah.
once we got there,
Yeah.
it was
And then
very
like walking
beautiful.
around the little neighborhood where, who was it that
Van
lived?
Gogh.
Yeah, Van Gogh used to live. That was probably like my favorite little neighborhood because it was so cute. And then like they had that really good Italian place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Eiffel Tower, of course. I didn't know that it sparkled at night.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
that was a real treat. Just every night, I guess every hour, at the top of the hour for 5 minutes, the entire Eiffel Tower will just sparkle, and it's like the 4th of July.
Every night, every hour.
Yeah, it's beautiful. So every night, if we were walking around, Kisa, our advisor leader, she would have everybody run to the Eiffel Tower so we could try to
we'd
catch
literally
it
run.
sparkling. Yeah, and we would all
Yeah,
run.
and I think that picture was taken on the night that we went to the very top of the Eiffel Tower.
Yes.
And I remember we were going up, and it started sparkling while we were in the elevator going up, and
Yes.
Kisa started screaming, and she was like, "Oh, it's sparkling!"
Yeah.
It was great. It was
Yeah.
freezing up there, but
It was
the view
really cold, but it
pretty
was
great.
beautiful. And then
Yeah.
Versailles, which was probably one of my favorite places that we
Yeah.
visited. It was just so
Maybe
beautiful.
it was just because it was warm that day.
Yeah, it was like our
but-
one day of sunshine.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was beautiful, and walking through the gardens, and we went to Shakespeare and Company, which is a great
Yeah, that was like one of my
bookstore.
favorite places. Like I wish we had more time to be there because I could have sat there for hours and they had a cat and I was so excited.
Yeah, it was great. Like, oh, I love bookstores. It had the ladders that you could climb and get to the very top, and you never see those in bookstores here.
There was
And
like
it
a piano
just-
that you could play. It was
it
super
was, like,
cute.
really cute.
It was really cool. There were so many places that I wish we could have just stayed longer. And this is a shot from the catacombs, which was really interesting. It was like creepy and cool at the
It was
same
like
time.
the walls were made of bones. It was so weird.
When we went there, I didn't expect them to have stacked all the bones up. So it's just like rows of bones stacked like 5 feet
It's
high.
creepy, honestly. Like, it was
Yeah.
awesome, but it was
Yeah.
like a little...
I remember thinking, like, because Mackenzie, someone else who went on the trip, she was saying, like, it's so weird because you see bones, like fake bones at Halloween, but it's like nothing. But then, like, looking at them, they're so real
These are
that
people.
they don't feel
Yeah,
like
you're kinda,
actual
like,
people.
desensitized because it's like, oh, I know what skulls look like, but these are like real skulls, and
Yeah.
so
Yeah, and they're so close that you could even like touch them, but it was like weird. I don't.
Yeah. It was really surreal. And then this is another fun shot at Versailles. The fountains there were beautiful, and I wish we would have taken a boat ride because they had those, and that would have been cool, but I was fine just checking out the swans.
Yeah.
This is another shot at Versailles. You know, interestingly, about this picture, I think we should talk about the lack of grass in France.
Oh,
Yeah.
there is no grass anywhere. It's just like, okay, when you think of the Eiffel Tower, it's in like a park. And so usually parks have grass. And then you get there to go to the Eiffel Tower and it's just like sandy gravel.
Well, there's
all
like
over the
there's like a
place.
strip of grass like on both
For your
sides.
pictures.
Yeah, for pictures on both sides, and then like on the other sides it's just like gravel.
And
then
that's how it is everywhere. And then the places with grass have fences around them that
Right.
say to stay off the grass. So it's just really weird because there's no grass even in their parks. It's just gravel.
Yeah, so different. And we went to Notre Dame, and we went to the top. And
Yeah, so many stairs,
So
of
many
course.
stairs. It was almost comical because you'd get to the top of one set, and then there'd be more.
And it was a spiral staircase, so you never knew where the top was. And you just kept going and going. And even there were so many people who were in front of us or behind us that they were strangers and we didn't know who they were, and they were from a different country, but we were all like, oh, I know how you're feeling right now. We're all dying trying to
Absolutely.
get to the top.
Yeah, that was cool. Food, and I think this is a good
Dessert.
time to ask, like, okay, what was the best and worst thing that you ate on this trip?
dessert anything dessert was
best.
probably the best.
Anything.
Like
I agree.
any lemon, anything. It was the best.
This picture, I think this was a picture taken at that pizza place that
Reese's, or Ricky's.
Reese's.
Mackenzie called it Reese's.
yeah, but there was a dessert we got with that because dessert, we got so much dessert.
Yeah.
And it was like a giant cream puff thing
With
ice cream
and chocolate.
and
Kind of like
Nutella.
fried ice cream.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
kind of like fried
Nutella,
ice
it
cream,
was
but 20 times
way better.
Yeah, we
Yes.
couldn't say the name of it. I remember the guy who was like waiting on us. Kate tried to say, she didn't know how to pronounce it, so she pointed
Yes.
at it, and he just like looked her straight in the face and was like, say it.
Yeah.
And wouldn't let us order it until Kate said the name.
Yes. Yeah.
But
that was intimidating.
Yeah.
And I got it all wrong. But that's okay because
Yeah.
we still
We
got
got
what we
dessert.
wanted. And
But
it was
whatever
fun.
that thing was, that was probably my favorite dessert
yeah.
that we had there.
That's another picture of the catacombs. I think it was just so amazing how they spent so much time and detail in creating these really intricate designs and columns.
Yeah,
and
I didn't expect there to be like designs made of bones in
I
there.
didn't either.
Like hearts made out of skulls and like crosses. It was so weird.
Yeah, it was very cool though. Absolutely. And then that's another photo from Notre Dame. I think that it was just amazing. I think of like the gargoyles, but I didn't realize how beautiful it is inside and all around. And everything in France is like that. The architecture is just amazing everywhere.
Like statues of people all over their buildings.
It was like you didn't see just like a plain wall. There was some kind of statue or something on all of them.
Yeah,
It was
absolutely. Did you ever feel homesick, or was there anything that you really missed about home?
I miss like English, like just being able to just speak English freely whenever I
Yeah.
want. And even like coming back, I was like, oh, merci. And I was like, wait a minute, we're in like America now.
Yeah.
I don't have to say this anymore. But
Yeah, I just missed being able to like go in a restaurant and just order something in English and them know exactly what you want, and then you always get what you want because they understand you. Because in France, we would order a lot. I know a lot of people, we would try to order something, and I guess they just wouldn't understand what we wanted, and sometimes they'd bring you back the wrong thing, and you'd try to explain, like, this isn't what I got, but then they wouldn't understand it, so you just have to end up eating what they brought you anyway.
Yeah.
And I know that was a problem with some people, so...
Yeah. I ordered
yeah.
a pizza, I got a salad.
Yeah, so...
Biggest disappointment of my life, but it was okay.
Yeah, so that's probably what I miss most, is just being able to, like, freely talk and have everyone understand you. And
Yeah, I miss that too.
yeah.
What would you say was the biggest difference between France and the United States?
I'd probably say like the people, like how they act.
Yeah.
Because like here, you're used to like walking up to someone and just being able to talk to them, or like someone coming up to you and just talking to you.
Yeah, and it's like I always find myself just here, it's like a polite thing to do to like smile at people as you pass them sometimes. And in France, it's like they get mad at you if you like are constantly looking at them and smiling, and they're like, "Why are you smiling at me right now?"
Yeah.
We were actually told by one of the seminar speakers that like it's impolite to like ask how people are doing. I mean, we can't anyway because we don't speak French.
Right.
But like if we did and we asked them how they are doing, we're actually like invading on their personal lives. So we got talked to about like personal life versus like public life, and how you don't ask how you're doing because that's a personal thing.
Yeah,
So I thought
and
that
they
was
also talked
interesting.
about how at parties, if you don't know anyone at the party, it's so impolite to just walk up and introduce yourself and like ask who they are.
Right.
And,
You
like,
have to be introduced.
Yeah, you have to be introduced by someone who's like a mutual friend before it's like a good thing to like talk to people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And public transportation is so quiet. I remember coming back to the United States and I was like, wow, it's so loud here.
Yeah.
And everybody's talking and laughing and everything's like big gestures and big smiles. And I was like, whoa.
Yeah, and like we had to go on the metro multiple times, like crowded metro stations where it's silent and no one's talking.
Yeah, so I'd be like sitting there and I'd be like trying to like talk to someone next to me, and I'm like, this is really awkward because it's so quiet in here.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about the seminar. What was that like?
I didn't expect it to be the way it was, because we went to a lot of people's like apartments and houses, and that's not what I expected us to do. And then like a lot of the people were really cool that they like had come and speak to us, but I wish they would have like given us more advice. But it was really cool to hear about like their lives and how they got to where they are.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite speakers, her name was Emma or Emily. I think it was Emma. But her last name escapes me right now, but she was a British TV journalist, and now she's like a TV producer, and she's lived in France for a while now. And her job is basically, it used to be where she would get assigned a location in a different part of the world, and she would just go and film the people there and make like a little video like, this is how people live in this country. And I really liked her because that would be something that I really like, because I like doing video production stuff. So that really was something that I was interested in.
Yeah, absolutely.
They brought in like a lot of just really impressive people and really like, I don't know, like just professionals in our field that it was like, wow, you're doing exactly what I could see myself doing in, 20 years or whatever. But I thought it was cool because a lot of them were so humble about it. So it's like, yeah, I'm like this big shot, but you don't hear them like saying that. Instead, they're just telling us like, you could be me in 20 years. And I thought that was really neat.
Like I interviewed Benedict Cumberbatch about his watch collection over the phone.
And they always just say it casually, like that's not a big deal. That's just an everyday thing for them. But we're over here like, that's amazing. Like I want that life.
Yeah, and I loved hearing from Eleanor Beardsley, the French correspondent for NPR. It was just nice to hear a familiar voice because I listened to NPR here, and so it was really cool to hear from her, and she was just so inspirational. And
I thought it was interesting how she was saying how she didn't figure out that she wanted to be a journalist until she was like 30-something.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, so we don't have to know what we're going to be doing for a few years now.
Yeah, absolutely. So what advice would you give to students who are considering studying abroad?
One thing I would say is prepare to get sick, because everyone got sick. And I guess before the trip, no one said anything like, oh, you might get sick, you're going to be in all these airports around all these people, you're probably going to get sick. But when we got back and everyone was like, yeah, we're sick, everyone's like, yeah, I know, like, you should have brought some medicine, like you should have taken the precautions before you went. And I was like, I didn't know that it was like a thing where when you travel you get sick.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's almost funny how we all got colds at the same time, and I'm still working on getting over mine.
Yeah, same.
But I'm happy that I got sick here instead of over there, because I know some of our students were really sick and miserable over there. Anyway, I think that was really cool. But what advice would you give to somebody then who's going to Paris? What would you tell them to bring? Or what wisdom would you impart?
An umbrella.
An umbrella. Warm clothes. Well, I guess it depends on what time you're going, but if you're going around the same time that we were, then
bring
warm
layers.
Clothes. I wore like 2 pairs of pants, like 2 shirts, a coat every single day. So, yeah.
And I would definitely say, like, bring your sense of adventure and be willing to try new things. I think that was just a wonderful experience and something that I know I'll always remember, and I'm sure you will too.
Yeah.
I want to go ahead and thank you, the viewer, for tuning in to Window on the World, and I hope that you'll come back next time to hear from our students.